Ring camera footage from 1847 Sycamore Lane in Tacoma, Washington, shows Staff Sergeant Tyler Brennan stepping out of a taxi at 11:43 p.m. on December 22, 2022. The deployed Marine had flown home early from Djibouti to surprise his fiancée for the holidays, unaware she'd been cheating with her coworker for months. Unaware they'd already planned what would happen when he returned. The motion-activated camera captures him walking toward the front porch, military duffel over his shoulder. 14 seconds later, someone moves quickly from the side of the building, and in less than 3 minutes, he will be dead on his own front lawn, and the neighbor's camera will have recorded every second of his final moments. Tyler Brennan had been deployed to Camp Lemonnier in Djibouti for 7 months when he decided to catch an early rotator flight home. His fiancée, Natasha Keller, worked as a dental hygienist and lived in the duplex they'd been renting together before his deployment. Tyler had texted her throughout his journey. Natasha and Tyler had been together for 3 years. They met at a community college where she was finishing prerequisites for a dental program, and he was taking night classes in business administration while serving in the Marine Corps Reserve. Tyler proposed 6 months before his deployment, and Natasha accepted. The wedding was planned for May 2023, after his return. They'd already sent save-the-date cards. But the Tyler who boarded that taxi from SeaTac International Airport had no idea that his fiancée's phone had been buzzing with messages from someone else for the past 4 months. Coworker communications turned friendly, then intimate, then obsessive. The man's name was Joel Price, a 41-year-old orthodontic assistant who worked in the same dental practice as Natasha. Divorced, 2 children with split custody, previous domestic violence charge dismissed after his ex-wife declined to testify. Joel had started at the practice in August, just weeks after Tyler's deployment began. Security footage from the dental office would later show the two staying late together, their cars the last ones in the lot on multiple occasions. What made this particular December night different was that Joel's white Ford F-50 was parked 3 blocks away on Yakima Avenue, waiting. Phone records would later confirm he and Natasha exchanged 47 text messages between 8 p.m. and 11:30 p.m. that evening. The contents of those messages, recovered by forensic analysts, painted a picture of planning, coordination, and cold intent. The duplex at 1847 Sycamore Lane sat in a working-class neighborhood where most residents kept to themselves. Tyler's neighbor, Grace Mendoza, a retired schoolteacher who lived in Unit A, had installed the Ring camera after a package theft earlier that year. She'd positioned it to cover her own entrance, but the wide-angle lens inadvertently captured the walkway leading to Unit B as well. That camera would become the most critical piece of evidence in what followed. Tyler knocked on the door instead of using his key. The door opened at 11:44 p.m. Natasha appeared, and the camera captured her expression. Not joy, not surprise, something closer to panic. Tyler stepped forward to embrace her, his duffel still on the porch behind him. The door remained open. They were speaking, though the audio quality on the recording was too poor to make out words. Then Joel appeared in the doorframe. He was wearing sweatpants and a t-shirt. Tyler's body language changed immediately, visible even in the grainy night vision footage. He stepped back. His hands came up, not aggressive but defensive, questioning. Then Joel moved forward and Tyler stumbled backward off the porch. What happened next took less than 4 minutes. Joel followed Tyler into the front yard. Natasha stood in the doorway. The camera angle showed Tyler backing toward the sidewalk, still trying to talk, his palms still raised. Then Joel lunged. They went to the ground. The struggle was brief. When Joel stood up, Tyler didn't. Natasha ran inside. Joel stood over Tyler's body for 8 seconds, then walked calmly back into the duplex. The motion-activated camera continued recording for another 30 seconds of complete stillness before switching off. Tyler Brennan lay on the cold grass 3 feet from the sidewalk, blood pooling beneath his head. Grace Mendoza was asleep when all of this occurred. She had no idea what her camera had recorded. At 6:15 the next morning, she opened her front door to get the newspaper and saw Tyler's body. Her 911 call came in at 6:17 a.m. The operator stayed on the line while Grace, voice shaking, described what she was seeing. A young man, not moving. Blood. Oh God, so much blood. Tacoma Police Department patrol units arrived at 6:22 a.m. Officers secured the scene and confirmed Tyler was deceased. His military ID was still in his wallet. Inside the duplex, Natasha and Joel were awake and sitting on the couch when officers knocked. They opened the door immediately. Detective Raymond Park took lead on the investigation. 22 years with TPD, 15 in homicide. He'd worked gang shootings, domestic violence murders, robbery gone wrong cases. This one felt different from the moment he arrived on scene. The body was outside. The door to Unit B showed no signs of forced entry. Tyler's rental car from the airport taxi service had already been identified and towed for processing. Park noticed Tyler's knuckles showed no defensive wounds, no torn clothing beyond dirt stains from the ground. Inside Unit B, Park and his partner, Detective Lisa Ochoa, found a clean living room. No signs of struggle, no overturned furniture. The bedroom showed evidence of recent occupancy by two people. Men's clothes that weren't military issue hung in the closet. A toothbrush that wasn't Tyler's sat on the bathroom counter. When Park asked Natasha who else had been in the home, she hesitated for 3 full seconds before answering. Joel stepped in, identifying himself, saying he'd been staying with Natasha as a friend while she dealt with loneliness during the deployment. Detectives separated them for preliminary statements. Natasha's account. Tyler showed up unexpectedly. She was shocked. Joel was there as emotional support, nothing inappropriate. Tyler became aggressive when he saw Joel. Tyler attacked Joel first. Joel defended himself. It happened so fast. It was an accident. She was terrified. She didn't know what to do. Joel's account. He heard yelling, came to see what was wrong. Tyler was enraged, screaming about Natasha cheating. Tyler threw the first punch. Joel tried to calm him down. Tyler came at him again. They struggled. Tyler hit his head when they fell. It was self-defense. He was protecting Natasha and himself. He panicked afterward. He knew how it looked. Park asked for their phones. Both refused. He asked if they'd consent to being recorded. Both declined. He asked if there were any witnesses. Natasha mentioned the neighbor might have cameras, but said she doubted they'd capture anything useful. Park made a note of that. He asked what time Tyler had arrived. Natasha said she wasn't sure. Maybe midnight. Joel agreed. The medical examiner, Dr. Sandra Reyes, arrived at 7:45 a.m. She conducted a preliminary field examination. Blunt force trauma to the head. Significant blood loss. Lividity patterns suggested Tyler had been deceased for at least 6 hours, possibly longer. She noted what appeared to be a depressed skull fracture consistent with a heavy impact. Tyler's body was transported to the Pierce County Medical Examiner's office for autopsy. Detective Park spent the rest of that morning walking the scene. Tyler's duffel contained clothes, toiletries, gifts wrapped in paper decorated with snowflakes. A card addressed to Natasha sat in the outer pocket. Park read it. The words were tender, hopeful, excited. He photographed everything. He noted the distance between where Tyler fell and the porch. Approximately 8 feet. He measured the blood pool. He looked for drag marks. Found none. Grace Mendoza approached Park around 10 a.m. She was crying, wrapped in a thick cardigan despite the indoor heating of the command post officers had set up in her living room. She explained about the Ring camera. Park's demeanor changed. He asked if she'd checked the footage. She hadn't. Didn't know how. Her grandson had installed it, and she'd never needed to review anything before. Park requested permission to access the device. Grace agreed immediately. The footage took 11 minutes to download. Park watched it 3 times before calling Ochoa over. They watched it together. Then they watched it frame by frame. Tyler approached the door. Knocked. Natasha answered. Conversation. Joel appeared. Tyler backed away. Joel advanced. They went down. Joel stood up. Tyler didn't move. Joel walked away. Natasha closed the door. The timestamp on the footage read 11:44 p.m. Medical examiner's preliminary estimate suggested time of death between 11 p.m. and 1 a.m. The footage showed Tyler arriving at 11:43 p.m. and falling at approximately 11:46 p.m. Everything Natasha and Joel said about the timeline was accurate. Everything they said about who initiated contact was not. Park obtained a warrant for phone records. Standard procedure took 72 hours due to the holiday weekend. In the meantime, Dr. Reyes completed Tyler's autopsy. Cause of death: blunt force trauma. The skull fracture was severe, suggesting a fall onto a hard surface with significant force. But there was something else. Toxicology tests would take weeks, but Reyes found what appeared to be petechial hemorrhaging in Tyler's eyes. She also noted minor bruising around his neck that didn't match the pattern of a fall. The weapon, if there was one, remained unknown. Crime scene technicians had processed the front yard. They found blood, obviously. They found disturbed grass where the struggle occurred. They found partial shoe prints, but they found no rock, no brick, no heavy object that might have caused Tyler's catastrophic head injury. The concrete walkway near the porch was the hardest surface in proximity. Park theorized Joel might have slammed Tyler's head against it, but the angle seemed wrong based on the footage. Inside Unit B, forensic teams processed every surface. They found Tyler's fingerprints on the front door, as expected. They found Natasha's and Joel's prints everywhere, also expected since both lived there. What they didn't find was any evidence of Tyler being inside the home. No prints in the living room, no blood trail. The first major setback came when Joel's attorney filed a motion blocking further questioning. Self-defense claim. Client exercising right to remain silent. Natasha, separately represented, did the same. Park tried to interview Natasha's co-workers at the dental practice. Most were cooperative but vague. Yes, Natasha and Joel seemed friendly. No, they hadn't noticed anything inappropriate. It was a professional environment. People were friendly with everyone. The phone records arrived on December 27th. Park and Ochoa spread them across the conference table in the investigation room. Tyler's phone showed regular calls and texts to Natasha throughout his deployment. Affectionate messages, photos of sunsets over the ocean, complaints about the heat and the food, normal deployed service member communication. Natasha's phone painted a different picture. Starting in late August, messages to an unknown number escalated in frequency. 10 messages a day became 20, then 40. The content, initially mundane, shifted. By October, the messages were explicitly sexual. By November, they were talking about Tyler, about the deployment, about how long until he came home, about what they'd do when it happened. The unknown number belonged to Joel Price. Phone records showed they called each other constantly. On December 20th, 2 days before Tyler's death, there were 12 calls between them, totaling 3 hours and 7 minutes. On December 21st, 15 calls. On December 22nd, the day of Tyler's arrival, 47 text messages and 6 calls between 8 p.m. and 11:30 p.m. Forensic analysts recovered the content of those December 22nd messages. 8:47 p.m. Natasha to Joel. He just texted. Says he can't wait for Christmas. I feel sick. We talked about this. 9:31 p.m. Natasha to Joel. What if he just shows up? 9:33 p.m. Joel to Natasha. He won't. He's in Africa. 10:58 p.m. Natasha to Joel. Car just pulled up. 11:02 p.m. Joel to Natasha. I'm here. It's okay. 11:41 p.m. Joel to Natasha. Don't answer yet. The messages stopped at 11:41 p.m. Tyler knocked on the door at 11:44 p.m. He was dead by 11:46 p.m. Detective Park requested search warrants for both Natasha's and Joel's residences, vehicles, and personal effects. The warrants were executed on December 29th. In Joel's truck, parked on Yakima Avenue 3 blocks from the scene, investigators found work gloves in the center console. Luminol testing revealed blood trace on the right glove. DNA analysis, expedited due to the high-profile nature of the case, confirmed the blood belonged to Tyler Brennan. The results came back on January 10, 2023. In Natasha's home, specifically in a bathroom drawer, investigators found a bottle of Ambien prescribed to Natasha. The bottle was dated November 2022, with 30 tablets dispensed. 22 tablets remained. Tyler's toxicology report, completed on January 8th, showed zolpidem, the active ingredient in Ambien, in his system. The concentration suggested he'd ingested the drug within hours of his death. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. On January 14th, Joel's ex-wife, Vanessa Price, contacted Detective Park. She'd seen news coverage of Tyler's death. She'd heard Joel was involved. She wanted to talk. Vanessa told Park that Joel had been calling her in the weeks before December 22nd, trying to reconcile, asking about their children. During one call, he mentioned he'd met someone serious. During another call, he said the woman's fiancé was deployed and wouldn't be a problem much longer. Vanessa hadn't thought much of it at the time. Now she did. Park re-interviewed neighbors on Sycamore Lane. Most hadn't seen anything, hadn't heard anything. But a teenager 4 houses down, Adrian Colton, remembered seeing a white truck parked on Yakima Avenue multiple times over the past few months, always late at night. He noticed because his bedroom window faced that direction and the truck's headlights sometimes woke him up. He'd seen it there on December 22nd. He remembered because it was still there when he left for a late-night shift at a 24-hour gas station. Crime scene technicians returned to Sycamore Lane. They processed the concrete walkway more thoroughly. Using oblique lighting, they found a small impact fracture in one section of the concrete near the porch steps. Blood residue, nearly invisible without chemical enhancement, tested positive for Tyler's DNA. The pattern suggested his head had made contact with that exact spot with considerable force. The reconstruction became clear. Tyler arrived. He knocked. Natasha opened the door. Joel was inside, waiting, per the text messages that said, "I'm here." Tyler saw Joel. Tyler backed away, confused, hurt. Joel advanced. They didn't struggle. Joel attacked. Tyler went down. Joel slammed Tyler's head against the concrete walkway. Tyler died almost instantly. Joel walked back inside. Natasha closed the door. The second setback came when defense attorneys argued the ring footage was inadmissible due to improper warrant execution. The judge disagreed, but the motion delayed proceedings by 3 weeks. During that time, Natasha and Joel remained free on bail. Park monitored them. They didn't contact each other, per bail conditions, but their attorneys were coordinating. Claimed the evidence was circumstantial, but the phone records weren't circumstantial. The toxicology showing Tyler had been drugged wasn't circumstantial. The messages talking about Tyler being a problem weren't circumstantial. The video footage showing Joel advancing while Tyler retreated wasn't circumstantial. On February 3rd, 2023, Detective Park arrested Natasha Keller and Joel Price. They were charged with first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and tampering with evidence. The prosecution's theory: Natasha drugged Tyler's Christmas gift, or planned to drug him when he arrived. When he showed up early, catching them unprepared, they improvised. Joel killed Tyler while Natasha watched. They planned to claim self-defense if caught. Interrogation revealed cracks. Joel maintained his innocence. Self-defense. Accident. He was protecting Natasha. He panicked. Natasha, when shown the text messages, began crying. Her attorney stopped the interrogation. 2 hours later, Natasha requested to speak with detectives again, without her attorney present. She was advised of her rights. She waived them. She confessed. Natasha admitted the affair. Admitted she and Joel talked about what they'd do when Tyler came home. Admitted they discussed scenarios. Admitted Joel said Tyler couldn't come between them, but she insisted she never thought Joel would actually kill him. She said when Tyler showed up that night, she froze. She said Joel told her to let him handle it. She said she was scared of Joel by then, scared to say no. She said she watched it happen and couldn't move, couldn't scream, couldn't do anything. Prosecutors didn't believe her. The phone records showed active participation in planning. The fact she closed the door afterward showed consciousness of guilt. The fact she lied to police showed intent to cover up. She wasn't a victim. She was a co-conspirator. Joel, faced with Natasha's confession, changed his story. He now claimed Natasha manipulated him. She wanted Tyler dead for the insurance money. She seduced Joel, used him, convinced him Tyler was abusive. She drugged Tyler, not him. She told him to attack when Tyler arrived. He was the victim of manipulation. The trial began in September 2023. The Ring camera footage was played in court. Jurors watched Tyler knock on the door, watched him back away, watched Joel advance. watched Tyler fall and not get up. Expert witnesses testified about the skull fracture, the blood spatter, the concrete impact. Digital forensic specialists testified about the messages, the timeline, the coordination. Natasha's defense argued coercion, battered woman syndrome, fear of Joel. But there were no documented instances of Joel abusing Natasha. No hospital visits, no police calls, no witnesses. Just her word against evidence of active participation. Joel's defense argued self-defense and claimed Tyler attacked first, but the video showed otherwise. They argued the head injury could have occurred during the fall, not from intentional slamming. But the force required for that type of fracture suggested deliberate impact, according to the medical examiner. The jury deliberated for 4 days. On October 6, 2023, they returned guilty verdicts for both defendants. First-degree murder, conspiracy. Natasha showed no reaction when the verdict was read. Joel stared straight ahead. Sentencing occurred in December 2023, almost exactly 1 year after Tyler's death. Joel Price received life without possibility of parole. Natasha Keller received 45 years to life. Tyler's mother gave a victim impact statement. She talked about her son's service, his dedication, his love for Natasha. She talked about the pain of burying her child. She looked directly at Natasha when she said Tyler deserved better. Tyler's military funeral took place at Tahoma National Cemetery in February 2023. Full honors, flag presentation, 21-gun salute. His mother kept the flag. His father, also a veteran, accepted the medals. Tyler's unit deployed again 4 months later. His photograph hung in the unit office, a memorial to a Marine who came home expecting love and found something else entirely. Grace Mendoza still lives in Unit A at 1847 Sycamore Lane. The Ring camera is still there, still recording. She keeps Tyler's memorial candle lit on her porch every December 22nd, the date he came home for the last time.